salt, where legends are made, custom rigs and upgrades.
Hello and welcome back to Outlaw Airsoft YouTube channel. First of all, an apology. It has been more than a hot minute since we did our last video. Yeah, life just gets in the way. However, since the last time we saw you or spoke to you, we've had quite a lot of new stuff come in. As you can probably tell, we keep a rather large range now of gas blowbacks. Still doing AEGs, still doing spring-powered stuff, still dabbling with HPA adapters and things like that, but it's mostly been a transition over to gas blowback. The last 6 months have been interesting, which has been really, really good. But yeah, it's settled in quite nicely. So basically, I was going to take today as an opportunity to run through some of the double eagle riffs that we keep here on the shelf. As I'm sure most of you are aware, the double eagle is an MWS clone. We've covered the N4 and some other bits and pieces from them once before already. Really, really impressive stuff, to be fair. When you compare it to Tokyo Marui, they are substantially cheaper. And without meaning to bag on TM, they perform better out of the box, as a general rule. So what I'll do is I'll quickly run through what we do keep, and then we'll take a closer look at some of the newer models like the Daniel Defense Mark 18, the Mark 16 or the Ergi, whichever way you want to look at it, and the RIS 3 as well. Okay, starting off with the original N4, we've already covered this one. Ghetto Blaster. This was kind of the next one along from the N4. These have a bit of a cult following. Nice, compact, work really well, straight out the box. Couple of little upgrades and you are away. For someone who's of a bigger stature, I usually struggle with collapsible stock guns, PDWs, things like that. This, to be fair, it's not too bad. If you're really, really big, you might find it just a little bit small. Still bigger than an MP7 overall, which is always handy. But yeah, I think for the money, you'd be hard pushed to find a better out-of-the-box gun. Although I may eat my words with that in a moment when I start showing you some of the other stuff that we've got here from DE. Obviously, DE, their sister company is Salvo Precision. Their MCXs are incredibly well sought after at the moment. Not huge money, still MWS based, as we covered in the video of my custom build bronze unit. Do keep a couple now on the shelf. We'll just wait for the next stock delivery to come in and then we'll have some more. So I won't go into too much detail, but again, from the same stable, uses the same parts, works really, really well. What we will do is we will quickly move on to the newer stuff. So we have got here the Ergi. Obviously, this is quite common. A lot of people will have seen these in the TM format. Now, obviously, the TM variant of this is up near £700 now. The DE version is a little bit cheaper than that. Realistically, for the same kind of money that you would pay for the TM, you could have a pre-upgraded one of these from us with a couple of spare mags. That's how much cheaper they are. Obviously, the only downside is this is a paint finish. On all the DEs, it is a paint finish, whereas with your TMs, you do get that Cerakote finish that everybody likes. That being said, realistically, you could quite happily send one of these off to be Cerakoted if you really wished. Although, to be fair, my N4, I have run that for nearly 18 months. Pretty hard and had no issues with it. There's some very light scuffing of the paint, a couple of chips here and there, but it still held up well. What I would say about these, I find these, they don't kick quite as hard as the TM variant, but they are much snappier. So yeah, that seems to be the trade-off. I think the actual bolt weight is, combined bolt assembly is slightly lighter. It does give it very good gas efficiency. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the people that are buying these guns at the moment are buying them as a base gun to build off of. You will find, if that is the case, a lot of these people are either painting them or Cerakoting them anyway. So the general consensus is they wouldn't spend the extra money on having a pre-Cerakoted gun only to send it off, to have the Cerakote blasted off and re-Cerakoted in the colour they wanted. So, these do come in well. There's little bits and pieces with these. I mean, unlike with the N4, the bolt is completely clean. You don't have the Naves markings on there or anything like that. So, and the receiver itself is actually completely bare and devoid of any markings whatsoever. So again, great for custom builds if you're going to have laser work done on it. We also have the RIS 3, which, if you're not a fan of the longer guns, the RIS 3 is very, very good. Again, no discernible markings on the gun itself. Completely clear on the receivers. No markings. Uses exactly the same system, again, as does everything in the DE stable. It's NWS based, but it does have this rather nice RIS 3 rail on there, which, if you are like myself, where you've got slightly bigger hands, just gives you that little bit more to grab hold of. These would make perfect bases for builds for CQB guns, although the range you can get out of these outside is pretty good. Again, I don't actually think Tokyo do not do a RIS 3 version. But if they did, you can guarantee this would be substantially cheaper again. Same thing, paint finish, no Cerakote. But yeah, this is one of the lower popularity guns, I think, from them. Which is a shame, because these rails are really, really nice. The guns themselves work really, really well. I have found with all of the DE stuff as well, if you are putting Magpul furniture on there, especially Magpul stocks, they go on reasonably tight with little to no movement or play. So obviously we can feel with these out the box, there's a little bit of play. If you put like the MOE SLKs and the DT stocks on there, they go on, they're reasonably tight. They're still adjustable, you can still move them freely, but they're just none of this rattle. Magpul grips, PTS grips, everything goes straight over. Basically, any aftermarket grip will go straight on there from an M4. So yeah, that obviously RIS 3, not quite as popular, but still a very, very good gun. And then we will take a look very quickly at, as you can probably see, we have a long rail variant up here and the standard variant. We'll get the standard one down. Essentially, same gun, just slightly longer rail. So we have got here, this is the DE/EMG/Daniel Defense Mark 18. Licensed, obviously, through EMG. Has the Daniel Defense style stock on there, the Daniel Defense style strip grip with integrated trigger guard. The only major difference between these and the real ones is, on the real ones you have Daniel Defense on the butt, whereas this actually says EMG. And again, on Daniel Defense genuine ones, it has the Daniel Defense logo on the bottom of the pistol grip. I've always found these really ugly and never really liked them until they came in, and I actually picked it up. And even with bigger hands, they are one of the most comfortable grips I think I've held. Obviously, markings on the receiver, full Daniel Defense trades, and also on the rail. They've been very clever, because obviously it's for airsoft use only and it is licensed. They've put the license in underneath. So I don't know if you'll be able to see that. That is the licensing underneath, which tells you it's licensed by EMG for airsoft use only. Classy touch by them by putting it underneath. Again, as with everything else, MWS base takes most upgrades which are drop-in. So obviously, big fan of Jaeger Precision. I use his Z plates. I use his M-Pass, buffer weights, any of those things. basically they all come from him. But yeah, any of your aftermarket MWS parts pretty much drop in. Few teething problems with some of the Modify tech stuff, like their hop units. They do go in, but there's a lot of play in them. And their two-stage trigger boxes, they either work or they don't. They can be pretty hit and miss. And that goes for everything within the DE range. So these have been super, super popular. A lot of people like these. The benefit of this over the Tokyo Marui Mark 18 is you do not need a special tool to take this rail off to get to your outer barrel and take that out and do your hop unit. You have essentially 3 Allen-headed bolts on each side, which undo. This whole rail pulls off. Barrel nut is not Loctited on. It does not need to be heated up to the surface of the sun to break it free. Very easy to work on, especially, like I say, compared to the TM variant. Beautiful colour, lovely finish to it. Yeah, for the money, these retail £380 in standard format. Whereas, obviously, your TM Mark 18, again, is like £700. It is a huge, huge price difference. And I personally think you're getting more for your money with these. They certainly perform better out of the box with regards to hopping heavier weight BBs. Again, snappy, not quite as much felt kick off of these as you do with the TMs. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say to you with these, really. There's a reason I keep them on the shelf. They're bloody good guns. Like I say, there is the long rail version of this up there. If you're a big hulk of a man or a woman and you decide that you do not want something quite this short, you can go for the longer rail version. I personally am running an Ergi. I've done a custom build on one of those, which I will do a video on, which will show you what you can do to them. If you want a custom build, just want to buy a custom build from us, it's something I can do. Or whether you just want to do it yourself, there's an awful lot there that can be done with these, and you're not breaking the bank doing it. Especially if you're going to go down this route as opposed to buying the more expensive brand. Unlike the SEMA CGS MWS-based systems, all of the DE stuff is cross-compatible with Tokyo Marui spec parts. Obviously, the SEMA CGS stuff, if you just wanted to change a hot rubber out and use the thing out of the box as it comes, perfect, great. The things will run all day, they're brilliant. However, parts compatibility is spotty at best with those. The boys over at Axios Customs, who basically do what I do, Jordan and Nick, awesome guys. We were having a conversation about this up at NAF, and it is a real shame that the SEMA CGS stuff just isn't more cross-compatible. But that is why, essentially, we think DE have smashed the nail square on the head with what they've done with these. So yeah, I mean that's basically what we keep from this range now. There is more stuff coming out, especially from Salvo Precision. Salvo Precision have just I've just seen some teasers of a new MCX with a longer rail again. So obviously I've got the 11.5 inch, and that's always been the longest one that they do. But it was either a 13 or a 13.5 inch in almost a sort of a bronzy finish, which looks really, really nice. I'm just waiting for some of those to come into stock so I can order some. Spare parts for these have started to drip in, genuine parts as well, and the price is incredibly cheap. We're talking about a full bolt assembly for like 40 quid. We've got replacement nozzles for like 7 or 8 quid each, complete nozzles for 15 quid. So the beautiful thing now, the only problem is it never comes in enough numbers. So the next delivery that comes in, I'll make sure that I'm buying plenty of spares and stocking plenty of spares. I think the last time I ordered about 15 nozzles, 4 complete bolts and a load of other bits and pieces, and they all disappeared within, usually within a couple of weeks, everything's gone. If you are ever ordering a pre-upgraded one of these from our website on outlawrairsoft.com or .co.uk, it will both take you straight through to the same site. As well as the upgrade, you will get a spare nozzle with one of these. If I have one here, you will get a spare nozzle in there just in case. There's a couple of guns that have gone out recently which didn't have the spare nozzles, but I do have those customers' details. When I do get some more spare nozzles in, I will pop them in the post and get those out to them. But yeah, other than that, I think it's just a case of keeping an eye on what's going on and seeing where we end up with what other models they're going to come out with. They've got quite the lineup on the range now because obviously, as I say, you've got the N4, the various range of ghetto blasters, and then you've got another 1, 2, 3, 4 models there. Then in the salvo, there's a load of stuff through salvo. I think that personally they're doing incredibly well. If you've got any questions about the DE line of stuff, or if there's anything else you want to know, or if you're interested in a custom build or a pre-upgraded gun, by all means drop us a message. It'd be great to speak to you. Obviously with Black Friday coming up shortly, I will be doing some deals, so keep an eye on the website. If I get a chance, I'll get a YouTube video up. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Sorry again about the delay for getting this video up. I'm recording multiple videos today, so I will get them out and get them staged out in short order, so there'll be more stuff for you to watch. We've got the KS1 to do a review on. What else have we got here? Oh, the PPSH, the VFC PPSH. Awesome bit of kit. So we're getting a video out on that. I will finally get around to doing the FMG9 video from Maruyama. If there is anything else that you see on this wall that you want a video review on, drop me a comment or send me a message and I will get it done. But yeah, as I say, thank you for watching and have a good day.
Outlaw Airsoft, where legends are made. Custom rigs and upgrades, we've got it all displayed.